This week on another Scottless episode of The Grid, we're talking Ask Me Anything. Basically, ask us anything, any questions that you have. It's an open Q&A day, so it'll start in just a few seconds.
The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the tripod alternative that is changing the world. Everybody has a Platypod. You should too. Go to platypod.com.
All right, we're back.
Hey.
The monitor is feeding back because the volume's on, so it's like throwing us off. It's like, whoa! It's like you hear your voice echoing in the ether. It's pretty nice. But I'm sure we're going to remedy that right now. There we go. Awesome. Well, hey everybody. As you can see, Scott's not here. He was going to be back, but he's still gallivanting around. So. Yeah, he'll be back. Well, actually, won't be back. So you're just stuck with us. So Christina's here on the show today. Hey, she does all of our production over here, video production. So all the classes, all the events, all the conferences, all that good stuff that you guys see through video. Her crew's doing all that. So. Which is great to have you on the show because you can talk about all the production stuff.
That's true.
If anybody has any questions, right?
Yep, for sure.
Which, speaking of productions, you guys just came off a couple cool trips. You know, we had one where you were in New York City, right?
Yeah, we did a street photography class just a couple weeks ago in NYC. Jason and I were the crew for it, and we were with the photographer, Ali Rajabi, and he's amazing, and we had so much fun going around the city and checking out all the different things and his strategies and how he shoots, and I loved just like how his brain worked, you know, and how his thought process kind of worked and how he explained things, and it's going to be a really good class. And of course it was fun to be back in New York. I used to live there and do features when I lived out there. So it was fun to be back. I was teaching Jason how to walk like a New Yorker.
Oh, yes.
I was like, oh no, we're not going to be like the tourists. Come with me and stand on the curb here.
Yes, yes. I know what you're saying. There's a certain, yeah. Yep. Very cool.
Yeah, and you also just did a class
we did.
With Jason last weekend.
We did. We've been wanting to do an update to a Milky Way class I did like 8 years ago, like a beginner's basics class, and we were able to go out. We've been looking at times to be able to do it, and finally the rainy season weather broke here in Florida, and it just hit us, and we got dry and clear skies for about 4 or 5 days. So we took advantage, went up there for a couple days to probably the not ideal place to shoot the Milky Way, but that's great for a beginner because you don't want also the ideal because you think, well, obviously you're getting that shot. You're out in the middle of, you know, the darkest of dark or the driest of dry. So it was cool to be able to go to somewhere where that's the place in Florida that I kind of like 15, 20 years ago really got into this stuff, you know, and really, like I was saying, cut my teeth on that, you know, up there in that region. So it was cool to go back. It was a little sad to go back, though, because they got hit last year pretty hard with Helene, and there's still tons of damage. Yeah,
no.
So tons of damage. In fact, a lot of the places that I had are no more, you know, like they're just no more. Like I had to find new compositions, new places. The whole landscape's changed.
Wow.
Which, I mean, that's the reality of what you have to do.
Nature.
And that's actually one of the shoots we did where we brought again, bring your foreground sometimes when you don't have a foreground. So we brought our foreground, got a cool shot as well. But what you can't see in that picture is the mosquitoes and no-see-ums and all that I am drenched in multiple bug sprays, but still,
really,
they're gonna come and get you. Yeah, I would have my bug suit, but that got flooded in the hurricane last year at my house, so I don't have mine. But Jason had his, and he was definitely wearing it. So
wow, I didn't know Jason had a bug suit.
Well, he had it because it was like, we need one, right?
Oh my gosh!
Oh, they're great. They're awesome, but. So I was very excited about that class because an update to, again, stuff's changed so much. When we filmed the other class, like mirrorless was like not even a thing.
Wow.
Right. So there was a lot of techniques that we were using that we just don't use nowadays. So it was cool to reshoot that and do stuff where we're, again, not ideal environments, not pristine, perfect, but still able to do cool stuff and show people how you can do it too.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I love about the stuff that we do. People, by the way, definitely start asking us questions.
Yeah,
I'm in the chat and trying to see what you guys might have. But before I take a couple, because I'm starting to see some things come through, you know, just like kind of talking about this. I just love that we're always staying current, you know.
Yeah.
So anything that's coming out or things that are trending, or if something's changed, we're always like, oh, we need to do a class on this and just kind of stay up to date, kind of show you the new techniques or the new technology.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a kind of hint, too, towards something else that we're going to be working on soon.
Oh, yeah,
which
definitely.
is why Scott will be out.
Yeah, Scott's out. You know, we're working on a huge thing for November, right? So
Yes.
if you're a Lightroom or Lightroom Classic user, in fact, if you are a Lightroom Classic user, tell us in the comments. I'd like to know. I use primarily, just say Lightroom Classic or Lightroom. Just comment what you're using. And then if you're like, I don't use either, just tell us, like, I use Photoshop. Like, I just would love to know in the comments. Just tell us what you guys are using, because coming in November, we're going to have a huge major update to curriculum that's going to be all for Lightroom. And Scott's been working on it, and I'm really excited about that. So you want to be looking for that in a couple weeks. Now, if you're a KelbyOne member, you won't be able to miss it because it'll be part of the KelbyOne experience. But if you're not a KelbyOne member, it'd be a great time to join, because there's going to be awesome stuff coming in November for Lightroom users.
Cutting
all from
edge.
Scott. So all brand new stuff.
Yep.
You know, we've been talking about it for months now, so I'm really looking forward to it. Should be cool.
Really quick, I do want to take this question from Tina that I saw come in. I guess she saw some of the footage, and she said, Eric, what is the device that you have attached to your phone in the clip that you just showed?
So I think what you were just saying is my phone case, right? So I have a cover that pops over my lens, right? So sometimes people are like, what do you have? And I do this because it's the same thing. Like, I treat this like a camera.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I've got this in my pocket. I put the lens cap on. So there's the lens caps on. So that's it. And I've done that for years now, and buying cases that have a dedicated lens cover that, you know, like either slides on and off, or this one kind of rotates on and off. Because again, fingerprints, oils, dust, all that stuff, and we just throw it in our pocket, and we would never do that with our camera. We would never throw our camera in our bag without putting the lens cap on.
True.
You know, so that's really all that is. It's just a simple device that captures it. So I think it's, and then what you were seeing me do is I was using
a cloth? Like,
I do, but I'll tell
I
you,
noticed Jason always has one in his pocket, and so
since
if we
I've
are
been using
shooting
this,
it,
since I've been using like a lens cover, the amount I have to do it is vastly less.
Really?
Vastly less. Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah, it's, so, and that's what it is. I'm just treating my phone like a camera.
Yeah.
If you treat your camera like a camera, it's a camera. You know. So then at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about treating your devices like they're professional capture devices, and that's what we would do. So yeah, that's about it with that. I know it probably looks on the video like, what is that? You know, that's just a lens cover that just pops off.
That's sweet.
And
I've always thought there should be one. You know, like I remember the last time I upgraded my phone, I felt that way. Like,
yeah, but it does.
But I know it's like well protected.
The hard thing is it does make it protrude a little bit more. So some people don't like that because it makes it protrude a little bit more.
Right.
To me, again, I'm a photographer. It's what I do.
Yep.
So I treat it like that.
Nice. So there are questions coming in, and I also am seeing people answer this Lightroom question that we had, but maybe we should tell people what the prizes are for
we
today.
got tons of prizes. But before we go to the prizes, a couple other things that we do want to talk about. We have the Landscape Photography Conference coming up. So next month, or not next month, month after that, December, beginning of December, December 9th and 10th, we have the Landscape Photography Conference. If you want to join us for that, make sure you take advantage. Right now, you're going to get the early bird discount. So make sure you check that out. It's over at KelbyOneLive.com.
Yep. And
then,
I'm so excited about this one, for real. Like, this has so many good instructors, and I just love the topic. I think this topic is great because people can always be out when you're traveling or out, and you can just, like, it's stuff you can shoot. It's not like you have to go get a model or anything like that. You know, you can do it while you're traveling. And some of the things that people are going to be teaching, I'm just so pumped and excited for this. It's a great way to end the year, I feel like.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, look at the pictures and all that. I mean, it's just, if you're into landscape photography, that's the place you want to be. All right, so KelbyOneLive.com. Check that out. Another thing, if you're interested in Milky Way and night photography, I'm going to be releasing workshop dates for 2026 coming up in just a couple weeks. So if you go to MilkyWayWorkshops.com, it's actually up on my screen right now. If you go there, there's a little get 2026 dates. If you do that and you register there, that will allow me to send you out the dates before they go public. I have had these things like Scott's, they sell out pretty quick. So if you get on that list, you'll be the first to know about it, besides people that have come to previous ones. But you get on that list right there. They're going to be coming out in just a couple weeks. I'll be sending out that email probably next week. So see that over at MilkyWayWorkshops.com. And
That's
then
a
again,
good domain to have.
Yeah, Milky Way Workshops.
I typed it in the chat, so you guys should all see it. And
yeah. Now another one. If you wanting to go with Scott, Scott still has one ticket left for his Sydney workshop. It's next month. I mean, if you just like really want to go, get on it. You two can go over with Scott and Mimo over to Sydney and get that last spot over at that workshop, because I'm telling you, yeah, it's Scott's workshops are amazing. I mean, Scott and I do these workshops together. He also does them with Mimo. But Mimo's awesome. Like Mimo, great person. And then the other thing is he just sees certain compositions that, again, Mimo and the other one is Rami is the same.
Yeah.
Where they see stuff that I'm like, and I always try to learn from people and try to see what they're seeing, and it's just Mimo's amazing at that. So go check it out. And it must be something, honestly. Mimo, I know, is originally from Iran.
Yep.
Rami's originally from Iran.
Yeah.
And actually, Ollie's originally
Exactly,
from Iran.
Ollie
There's
is.
something about the composition. I don't know what it is, but there's something about it.
The
Just saying.
artists. They're
Yeah,
artists.
the artists. There's something ingrained in there. So cool. Love it. So yeah, so check out the Scott Kelby Workshops for Scott's, and then Milky Way Workshops for mine. So there you go. All right, so prizes. What do we have? We have the Crush the Composition book from Scott. So somebody's going to win this book. You can get it over on Amazon as well. And let's see. The cool thing about this one I love is it's like a coffee table book.
Yep.
Kind of with a teaching book, so it's kind of like dual purpose.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It's like a hybrid.
It's hybrid. It's really cool. So check that out. But somebody's going to win that today. Also, night photography book. I know
Erik
this
Kuna.
guy who wrote this book. So you can get that book as well over on Amazon, but somebody's going to win it today. And then we're giving away a Platypod handle. So attaches to your Platypod or attaches to anything that you just want to like lift up your ball head just a little bit, or add attachments to. It's got a bunch of different
Or just hold it. It's very sturdy.
Yeah, and hold it.
So like sometimes I'm like, oh, this could be kind of like a steady cam for my iPhone.
It can be a steady cam for your iPhone with you put a little like the grip on there, and you can do that.
And they have a mag now too. So instead of doing the grip, if you wanted to just use your mag case.
Yep. Yeah. And then we're going to be giving away a copy of ON1's No Noise. So awesome AI plugin for removing noise from your photos.
Which, speaking of ON1, we actually have a webcast tomorrow.
Yeah.
So ON1 just came out with, what is it, Photo Raw 2026, and I've heard there's been really big changes. So we're going to do a whole entire webcast tomorrow at 2 p.m. and it'll be with Dylan and Dan from ON1, and then Scott will host.
Yeah, and what Jason was doing there with that before and after that is very that's exactly what happens. You'll have the photo. This photo will be the photo you'll have. That'll be a raw photo. You run it through no noise, and it'll wipe it off, and it'll be like that photo.
That's insane.
It's insane what it does. It just brings life. There's so many photos I shot years ago that I just thought were going to be garbage, that when I go back to them, like I'm talking like old cameras, like original 5Ds or original Nikon, I think it was like the D80 or something. Like I had files from there, like old cameras I had, and I can breathe life into them anymore. It's great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I know. It's like makes you think never delete any of your photos, right? With all the stuff that technology can do nowadays.
True. And then a final one, V-Flat from V-Flat World. We're giving away V-Flat. Now everybody can get a discount over here. They just got to use the code KELBY10 at checkout to get 10% off. But somebody's going to win today. That just has to be U.S. only. So you have to have a U.S. shipping address only for that one. All right. So let's get to it. Like your question. What do we have here? So what are some questions we got coming in?
So it looks like Linnea is asking, to light a scene at night, should you use flash or a continuous light? And if continuous, what setting should it be on?
All right. Great question. If you're lighting a scene at night, should you use flash or continuous light? It matters the scene, right? So people, for example, or self-moving, that's when flash is required. When people are moving, unless you can get a person to stand still, which you usually can't, for longer than a short period of time, you need to use a flash, because anything moving is going to blur if you don't use a flash. However, if like a for example would be, I just was posting this one today, and you can look on my screen. This shot here, right? That's LED, right? So that's just continuous light. 2 lights, one on the left, one on the right behind the boat, and then one little light inside the cabin of the boat.
Yeah.
And they're super dim. Like I'm talking super dim, like on 1%. But over that 20-second exposure, that light builds up. So you can't even see that light with your eyes. I mean, you can barely see it with your eyes.
Right.
And then it builds up over time. So that's where, why could I do that? Well, the boat's not moving. The foreground's not moving. Now the stars are moving. So you're never going to have completely sharp stars, which is like the illusion of Milky Way photography.
Yeah.
Unless you use a tracker, you're never going to have completely sharp stars. But we're just making it perceivably sharp. So to answer your question, that's where it just matters. Is something moving in your scene? Flash. Like if something's moving in your foreground, like you need to freeze. If not continuous. Now I have had other things like maybe... I don't know if I could find, I could probably find it. Let's see. Oh, like this one? Yeah, I mean, that's using my iPhone. So again, low light, but it's just the torch that's lighting them. So it's just continuous at night. I'm trying to think what else. I don't really have, I had one like this. I don't have it in here, but like, where Russell Brown was sitting on this bench here.
Yeah.
Russell could hold still for a second, so we just had to make sure that our shutter speed was 1 second. We lit him up with a directional light, and as long as the shutter speed was not so long that he would blur, you're good. So that's really what it comes down to. Is continuous is great if nothing's moving, and then what would your settings be? Your settings are going to be dictated by the ambient light in the situation. Like, for example, this scene shot at twilight is going to be totally different. This is not going to be a super long exposure because it's at twilight.
Right. It's
also lit up, where the difference would be that other picture that we're showing here, that was over 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So that was a 20-second exposure. Again, the lights are very dim. Where the other exposure, we had the lights brighter because the ambient light is brighter.
Exactly.
So it's just you're balancing. It's all a balancing act when it comes to lighting.
Right.
But lighting also is the key to photography. So I totally appreciate the question. Yep. Cool.
Do you want to take one more question and then a break?
Well, we probably should take a break.
Okay.
Asking for a break.
Okay.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to answer all your questions. But keep on putting them in the chat. We'll get to them.
I'm Richard Burnaby, wildlife and travel photographer, and I am so excited to be here in the world's first national park and the crown jewel of the American National Park System, Yellowstone. I am literally standing in the caldera of a supervolcano with geothermal features found nowhere else on Earth, broad valleys teeming with wildlife, and jaw-dropping landscapes. I'm going to guide you through the park and show you how to approach and photograph landmarks so you can capture memories of a lifetime. I'm going to talk about gear, composition, camera settings, the best times of day to go to each location. We will head out to the major landmarks such as Yellowstone Falls, Mammoth Hot Springs, Old Faithful, and the sprawling valleys teeming with wildlife, inspiring you to want to come visit this magical place yourself. Come check out my latest class here at Yellowstone, exclusively on KelbyOne.com.
Have you ever seen a photo where everything in the image frame is rendered as being 100% completely tack sharp and wondered, how the heck did they do that? I'm nature photographer Ian Plant, and I've spent the past 20 years perfecting this exact technique. And so when everything in the image frame looks sharp, I call this deep focus. And in this class, I'm going to teach you how you can get deep focus whenever you want. And I'm going to show you several different ways of achieving the deep focus effect. And some of these might sound a little bit scary, like depth of field and hyperfocal distance, which is the old-fashioned way of getting deep focus. I'm also going to teach you the modern way, something called focus stacking. And I'm going to cut through all of the technical jargon and present these concepts in an easy to understand way that you can practically apply when you're making your own photos. So join me as I demystify deep focus. Available only on KelbyOne.com.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Canon.
All right, we're back, and we got more of your questions coming in, but feel free to ask in the comments. We're looking at your comments, questions, and if you got any feedback for us, just let us know in the comments. All right.
I was looking at people when we asked the question, do you use Lightroom, Classic, the Cloud, or Photoshop? Most people said Classic.
Okay. That's what I use. I mean, that's my primary tool. I mean, I know the Scott's as well. Not that there's anything wrong with any of the other tools. Yep. In fact, I use a lot of the other tools. Photoshop is probably the second one. I mean, you bounce between, but I always strive to, it's nice if I can get it done in one exposure. But then Photoshop's like, I just couldn't do that. I needed to combine something or blend something or composite something.
That's what takes it from good to great.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to know. Well, that's a big thing we talked about in the Milky Way class I just shot, was how you've got to start with the basics and then know when certain scenarios will call for, oh, I need to blend this, or this scenario I need to wait and do twilight and then, maybe I'm going to do moonlight blending. There's a reason why. There should be a reason to why you're doing things, not just, I hope it works.
Right. Yeah.
That's what you want to get to, is to be able to see the light.
To see the light.
There you go.
Well,
All
Bob
right.
in Boston is asking us, it seems with all the edits now being done in Lightroom and Photoshop, it helps to have more space around the core image for cropping and moving parts of the images and filling in, etc. So do you still shoot to the edges of the frame in the viewfinder, or are you composing to leave that extra space in case you want to do more post-shoot manipulation?
This is a mixed bag for me. I will say that usually I'm trying, if I can nail it in camera and I know that it's going to work, I will try to do that. If I see something that I go, oh, I might want to give myself some breathing room, I will give myself some breathing room so I can do stuff intentionally in post.
Yeah.
And that usually comes from a technique, and Russell Brown and I were talking about this recently on an interview we did for Photoshop World. And how post-visualization is a big thing for us, is visualizing for the post.
Right.
So a lot of times when I'm doing certain techniques, I'm visualizing, well, what file do I need to combine with this file in order for this to look right, or to have the creative vision that is in my head.
Yes.
You know, that now that one's a little harder to develop than just seeing it in the viewfinder and clicking the shutter. 'Cause
Right.
you have to like visualize, and really that for me is more practice. The more images you look at, the more images you deconstruct, the more you play around in post, you'll get good at seeing what you can and can't do, right?
Yeah. Is some of that because of like the content that you shoot, since it's more of a challenging from a technical standpoint, that, you know, if you're shooting all this stuff at night, but then you need some things to be lit in the picture, so now you do kind of have to post visualize.
Correct.
Versus like someone who might just shoot during the day.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
that's the one thing, you know, I think it gets harder in certain genres, yeah. I mean, it definitely gets harder in certain genres. But it really comes down to, like, for example, one that I would say, like, landscape photography is HDR, right? Not a lot of images need HDR, the technique, high dynamic range, where you're shooting multiple. But there's a place for it. When you have bright highlights and dark shadows, and you want detail in the shadows, and you want detail in the highlights, you got to pull that technique out and go, I'm going to have to post-visualize that this scene needs that.
Right.
Or in your case where you're saying, well, I don't know if I'm going to need to crop or move it or expand it. If you're looking at your scene, you're like, I just don't know if I'm going to like this. Is this really straight? Like sometimes the horizon line will be, even though your level will be straight, the horizon will be crooked because nature's crooked. Like nature doesn't have always straight lines.
Yeah.
You might want to give yourself 5% more, like zoom out 5%, in order to give you that room
Right.
to do the correction.
Yeah.
Or like you're shooting a building and you know the building is tipped back and you're like, I want to straighten it out. I see that I want to straighten it out. Yeah, you might want to give yourself 10% more because that straightening out will eliminate a lot of the frame.
Right.
So there's times definitely where I'm looking at a scene and going, hey, I mean, what do I want the end result to be? And that's, I think, where photography changes for you, is when you're not just clicking the shutter and then going back to the computer and going through and like finding the shot.
Yeah.
You're finding the shot before you click the shutter.
Right.
And that, but that's running through those, like, there's the pre-visualization, which, I mean, you do a lot of that with like just planning, you know,
Sure.
where you do a lot of production. A whole pre-production that you guys do is really pre-visualization. Like you're visualizing how everything is going to come together on a production
Right.
to shoot it. And then you're also visualizing, well, what lenses are we going to need? What lighting are we going to need? What are all these things? And then when you actually go to produce it, you're also in production looking at, well, what are we going to do post-wise? I mean, a great example for us is like the Photoshop World movies that we film, the silly Photoshop World movies that we film. We have to do a lot of post-visualization where we're going, what is this going to look like if we put these things together?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we just had fun with one where it was
Yeah,
like
we did.
the theme park thing. That
Yes,
was cool.
that was fun.
Yeah, so that's
That's a cool new way to think too. I don't think many people take that perspective, and I feel like it could be something that, you know, is just thought about more.
You mean
the post visualization too, like
pre-visualization,
pre and post.
Pre is kind of like a lot of people know about that one.
Yeah.
Of course,
because they might plan to go to a certain specific spot at a certain specific time, but then like how you're going to actually do post on the photo, or what pictures you might need to take in order to achieve that for your post. I don't think many people take that into consideration.
Well, and that's what, I mean, the reason, like Russell Brown is the one that I talk about that a lot, because I mean, I feel like his whole work is that.
Yes.
Like, he's become a master at it. Because his brain is thinking through of I'm not just limited by what's in my frame.
Yes.
I'm limited by my imagination.
Yeah, so it's not just like, it's like making the camera do extra, right? It's like what you want a certain, like maybe your eye, you're trying to always capture what your eye is seeing, but sometimes it maybe can't, or maybe you want to do even more than what your eye can see. Correct. And that's where it goes to another level. And
that's really where it changed. That's where a lot of, there's certain things that changed for photography for me, and that's one of the big ones, was being able to not be limited by just what my camera can capture and see, but limited only by the post. And then it really became is how well do you know Photoshop?
Right.
Is really what it comes. Which is the hard part, is I have a lot of people who will say, well, I don't use Photoshop, but then when you get down to it and you show them certain things, they're like, I wish I could do that. And really what they're saying is, I don't know how to use Photoshop.
Right.
It's not that I don't use Photoshop. They would use Photoshop. A lot of them look at the images and they're like, I wish I could create that.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to use Photoshop. But that's a reason a lot of times, that's really a big reason why KelbyOne's around.
Yep.
Is because Photoshop and Lightroom and these things, they're not super easy. They're becoming easier. It's definitely, these tools are becoming easier.
Yeah.
But it's not super easy.
Yeah. Rami just joined us, it looks like. Well, maybe he's been there, but I just saw a comment pop up that says, visualizing the scene is hardest part of photography, but it is the most essential.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Rami, we agree. I mean, we do workshops together. He's a KelbyOne instructor. We've talked many a times about this topic, which is why it's not. But we do both agree that, like, if you were to being able to visualize your end result is like a skill that will change your photography more than any lens, any setting, or any camera body or tripod or whatever gear you want to throw at it will ever do.
Wow.
Like, that is the thing. If you can, because then that leads back to composition, that leads back to lighting, it leads back to everything. Like, if you're able to see, then the story is like the most important thing about your photo.
Right.
Like, what is your photo saying?
Yes.
You know?
I think that's the hardest part.
It is hard.
All right, Bill is asking, do you have a starting white balance for Milky Way photography?
Yes, I do. I'm going to be in a Kelvin, so a custom white balance setting with a Kelvin setting, so Kelvin white balance. And I'm going to be at 3600 Kelvin is probably the best one to start. It's going to go up if you're in a cleaner, less light polluted area, and it's going to go down from there if you're in a more light polluted area. So you're going to get closer to 3200 Kelvin, more light pollution. You're going to get closer to 4000 Kelvin, less light pollution. Now, mileage may vary. It also matters on atmospheric conditions, like is there a lot of air glow? Is there a lot of haze? Is there, there's different factors. But we're shooting in RAW, and I can pretty much guarantee you if you dial in 3600 Kelvin, that is your great starting point. There we go.
Awesome.
Well, hey, we got to take a break, right?
We do.
We gotta
break
take a break.
2.
But when we come back, we got some more questions, and if you got questions, keep on asking them. We'll answer them. See you back here in just a couple minutes.
ever finally get someone in front of your camera and then you don't know what to do, you freeze up, or they don't look natural enough? I've got a class for you. My name is Vanessa Joy. I'm a Canon Explorer of Light, and I've been photographing weddings and portraits and humans for the past 28 years. In my class at KelbyOne, we'll be photographing female alone, male alone, and then of course the two of them together. I'm going to give you all the tips that you need for making sure that they're relaxed in front of the camera, making sure that they know where to put their hands, and that you can direct them in a way that not only gives them photos that look really good in your eyes, but in their eyes as well. I'm going to make sure that you feel confident directing the people that are in front of your camera so that you don't freeze up and not know what to do with them next. We will cover standing poses, sitting poses, and the biggest question that I get, what if my girl is taller than the guy? I will show you how to work with height differences and really come up with a bunch of creative poses that you can put in your arsenal and feel comfortable the next time you have someone in front of your camera. So come join me on my latest class and my first class at KelbyOne.com.
Hello, I'm Lisa Walsh, and I'm a professional photographer from Venice, Florida, and I've been selling prints online for 10 years, and I'm excited to tell you about my new class at KelbyOne, Marketing to Expand Your Business. So my first class was about how to sell your prints online using Fine Art America. This class, I'm going to show you how to easily expand your audience no matter what type of photography you do. This class is going to go deeper into marketing your images with strategies to gain clients, create meaningful connections, and build an audience that collects your work. Know what kinds of posts to make and what to write to attract and build relationships, and discover a very powerful tool I use to grow an audience very fast that stays connected with you. Come join me in my new class to market your photography and grow your business faster exclusively at KelbyOne.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by B&H Photo, the professional source since 1973.
All right, we're back, and we're taking your questions, and we got some more coming in, right?
Yes, we do. Doug is asking, what's the biggest difference between taking night photography with a lower resolution camera and a higher resolution camera?
All right, so night photography in general, not much different. Where you start noticing the difference is if we took night photography and went into like extreme low light environments like Milky Way. The only real difference is the higher resolution your camera. Perceivably, remember we talked about perceivable sharp images,
Yes, I like that term, by the way.
It's not going to be, it's perceivably sharp.
Yes.
Right? Because they're always moving. The minute you open your shutter, if you leave it open for more than a fraction of a second, they're not going to be sharp. So perceivably sharp, and they open. With a lower resolution camera, like say 20, 24 megapixels, you're going to be able to expose a few seconds longer than say a 40 megapixel or 50 megapixel image. And the smaller sensor will look sharper, right? How much sharper? That's all up to the eyes of the beholder. Like, you know, I mean, we could really peep and go like and see these charts online where people go to like 400% and look all of that. But that's all you need to know is the more megapixel resolution, the light capturing ability at those small star pinpoints, you're just going to have a little bit like you really got to nerd out to see the difference.
Yeah.
Is the thing. But technically, there is a point when a full frame, now again, this is also a full frame sensor, because a full frame sensor at a lower megapixel, you know, versus a full frame sensor at a higher megapixel, that's where you really notice the difference. On a crop sensor, it's going to be a little worse at light capturing, you know, than a full frame. So the full frame just tends to be best. But other styles of night photography, you really don't notice the difference. I mean, you don't really, because again, if you're shooting like a cityscape, you're not doing like extreme long, or, you know, like stuff isn't moving, like the stars are, you don't really care about the stars because you're not going to see the stars. Or taking a portrait at night, it's not going to matter. It's really only in those few instances where you're like extreme low light and capturing those star detail, like Milky Way photography is where I put that. But again, I would not get obsessed with that because I have a R6 Mark II and I have a R5 Mark II. And if I take the same image, technically if you zoomed in, but I don't really notice the difference.
Yeah.
I know in a technical, like mathematical equations and pixel pitch and all this, there is a mathematical explanation why a certain sensor size will look better. In practice, I see that? Absolutely not. In practice, if my photo is awesome, people don't care. You know, if my photo looks amazing and it's all properly lit and there's not that much noise and the story's there, they're not like, ooh, those stars are a little soft. I wish you would have used a lower megapixel camera. You know, and at that point too, I would just employ, if I really cared about that, I would employ tracking.
Right.
Like that's where I would employ, and like Rami and I agree on that. If you're gonna get into this and you're gonna get like very into sharpness, you're gonna have to master tracking. But that's like the end game. Like you don't want to start there, because if you start at tracking, you're gonna get frustrated.
Yeah.
So you end there. You don't start there.
Well, what's funny too is like, you know, back in the day when we'd have all these megapixels, like that was the thing, you know, how many megapixels do you have?
Yeah.
And then now when we actually go to post it, it's like what?
So small.
For a small little web page or, you know, on Instagram.
Yeah.
And whereas before it was like you were thinking of, oh, if this ever prints like on a billboard, right? Or, you know, that type of thought process. And now it's like the way we display our images are so small, yet the megapixels are so much higher.
But there's also, it brings up another interesting topic that you're talking about there that I think people get obsessed about the megapixels. That's what we're talking about. Like we get obsessed. I can be the same. But if you have a really good, clean, well-composed, if you have a good image, right? And it's 12 megapixels. And then you have a subpar image that's 45 megapixels. I can take that great 12 megapixel image, up-res it to a size that can print on a billboard, and it will be superior to the non-emotional, doesn't have any soul, lights crappy 45 megapixel shot. Right. Like we've got to the point where, like, I guess the rewind there, which I always go back to, is I remember the first class I ever filmed with Joe McNally. He was using like a 6 megapixel camera.
Wow.
And his images were on the cover of National Geographic.
Yeah.
At 6 megapixels.
Right.
So if we really want to have that argument, like that's where we're going to go, is like it really doesn't exist. It's more about, kind of goes back to what Rami was saying. It's more about like visualizing the story, getting the composition, getting the lighting, you know, those are the most important things. But there is a difference. So summing it up and kind of rewinding that, there is a difference, not so much a noticeable difference.
Yeah.
Not enough to where I would worry about it. Would not be a limiting factor for me to do it. Like, oh, I need to get a smaller megapixel camera.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take Gail's question. She's saying, I like abstract art. Do you have any KelbyOne classes or know of resources to help with creativity and Lightroom classic / Photoshop techniques to create abstract art from photos?
Yeah. I mean, we definitely have creativity classes. There's definitely a lot of creativity classes over on KelbyOne. Now, abstract art from photos, I think these are kind of like broad terms, right? You know, I think what you're looking at there is like, some people call that fine art. Some people call that abstract. You know, again, contests are always all over the place with that. But I think what you're trying to do is see light, see patterns, see colors, or see devoids of colors, black and white be it, to a point where it invokes an emotion where you're not really sure about what this frame is, where that's where the abstract comes in, but it's pleasing to the eye. And at that point, we've got tons of classes on that on KelbyOne, especially
we definitely
on
have
fine art
creativity classes. Like if you are losing your, motivation, like things you can do to get back into the flow.
Because that is a big one for people. Is like, where do I go from here?
And then I also think of like certain people too, of like certain instructors that would kind of teach some of this stuff. So I think of like Karen Hutton. So check out her classes.
Well, Padma's got that one too.
Padma, I was going to say,
cool.
Padma did a class that was really good on this kind of topic too. So the one that you're seeing on screen that says using creative blurs to create fine art.
All those classes up there are really cool. I'm going through all those classes in my head. I'm going, that's really cool. I remember that one. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, so there's tons of classes. I mean, that's what we do though. That's why we're in business.
That's what we do. That's right.
Yep.
And we've got a question.
In that class on Sam, it's not fine art, but here's I'll take another tangent here.
Okay.
I'll take a tangent. Is when you, again, that's where I'm saying break that down. If you're saying abstract and fine art, it's amazing if you watch other people, like even that class right there that Sam did, where he analyzed people's photos and he looked through like what is their styles and all that. Having the ability to break down even your abstract photos using those techniques can really help with your abstract type of photography. That's where sometimes we'll go and we'll say, I need to have a class called, I don't know, what was I doing last? Astrophotography tracking with a C-Stars S50, which is what I was doing last night, right? Yeah. That I need a class just on that. Well, really what I need to understand is astrophotography in general. Like I need to, like that's actually just as important.
Sure,
or then understanding how to track subjects or how, all these techniques become cumulative to your process. Like
Absolutely.
They become something where they make you a better photographer by watching these other things. So like that's where it was interesting. Like every class you brought up there, I was like, I could see that one working for what you're talking about. I could see that one working for what you're talking about. And that was one right there where Sam's is kind of like left field, but I think that's a skill that a lot of photographers undervalue, and that is being able to, and that's what he did a great job in that class, is being able to break down people's photos.
Right.
Like the skill to be able to look at a photo and go, okay, what time of day did they shoot that? What lighting conditions were there? What settings did they probably use?
Yeah.
And having the ability to do that is, it's game changing.
Well, and like you said, the story part of it, like when I was looking at that shot that, it was very moody, you know, and so to choose that composition kind of also blended with that mood. I felt like that was a choice.
Yeah, very cool.
These classes sound great. Is there an upcoming sale on the tuition?
Yeah, there definitely is.
We're also thinking about our cyber sale soon.
Yeah.
So
I would tune in. What is it? Starting November 6th, is it?
November 13th. We're gonna have a webinar.
Yes, but starting on the 6th, you'll have an email for that.
The 6th we'll launch
or
it.
If you sign up for anything that we're doing, or check out our site, or follow us on here on the grid, you'll have a link to it. November 6th.
Yeah. We'll save the date for November 13th.
That's a good idea.
Everybody should save the date for November 13th because there's going to be a whole bunch of new changes coming, and we're going to be right up ready to show everybody all the new stuff.
Yes. So it's going to be really exciting. Mark those dates. You want to that's why I was kind of teasing out in the beginning of the show is, we've got some of the big coming in November. Definitely going to start hearing about that on the 6th. And then on the 13th, you're going to want to join us for that. So definitely want to do that.
Let's take one more question, then this break.
Okay.
Mike from Riverview, Michigan is asking, do either of you have experience with Nano Banana versus Firefly?
Yes. How about you?
I mean, I know of it. I don't do a lot of AI stuff. My AI stuff that I do is more like
Production
part of it.
Yeah, you're using it for production stuff.
Yeah, sometimes I will be like, mock this up or mock that up. But for the most part, you would have more experience than I do.
I unfortunately probably have too much. This is actually probably what I've been doing more in my spare time lately.
Yeah.
You know, where I don't watch a lot of programs or stuff like that. I tend to play around with this stuff. And AI is one of those areas, especially with generation, that I've been starting to dabble in to just see how we're going to be using it or how people are using it, and then seeing these different models. So what you're talking about is there's Nano Banana, which is Google's. It's actually the code word for their model. And then there's Firefly, which is Adobe's version. And then Firefly's on version 4. Okay. And Nano Banana is the version of their engine, which I think's on version, I don't know, don't quote me on it, 3 or something. So between those two, Nano Banana is right now creating some crazy realistic results. You know, Firefly was awesome, and it still is awesome. It does a pretty good job at certain things, but there's certain things it starts faltering at.
Yeah.
It seems like Nano Banana is starting to nail things like people, fingers, toes, hands, hair. You know, like it's starting to really nail it. Now, I would imagine if this is how this stuff's going, in 6 weeks you could watch the show and be like, but Firefly is way superior. You know, so it's almost like they kind of do that, where like one kind of goes, here's what I got. And then 6 weeks later, this other company goes, well, here's my model. I've upgraded it. Here's what I got.
Right.
And then they start getting better and better and better. And it is getting to that point where they're just getting better and better and better. Now to the point of Nano Banana was so good that you can use in the Photoshop beta, you can use Nano Banana in the Photoshop beta.
Right.
Which you don't know. Is that going to come in a new Photoshop release? We might see that.
Well, and just an FYI, nobody knows yet, but you're hearing it here first, that we are going to have Google come on the grid. November 5th. So that's just in a couple of weeks, and they're going to be talking about Nano Banana.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking all about that. So if you're interested in that and where this is going, I mean, I'm very interested. I mean, it's an
exciting world that we're living in. It's almost like we're in the Renaissance, but you know, technology. Like you already thought you were there when the internet came out, and now it's like that sped up version of it.
Yeah.
And it's just a wild time.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Again, I think maybe where my mind goes, because again, being into post and being able to visualize stuff, where I could go, well, I mean, maybe we could get to a point where we're creating more stories and all that. I mean, where it's hard is I don't know how I'm going to use it in like, I mean, you're not going to use it in photojournalism, but I could see it in other genres big time. So
yeah, it's a fun time to be a creator, right?
Yes, definitely. Oh yeah, what you're seeing, the one that I'm seeing crazy stuff out of is I've seen some friends doing storyboarding, then creating still storyboards with AI, very high resolution storyboards, then using those reference frames, and AI's building a movie based on the storyboards and the reference frames. And to the point of which you look at it and you're like, I could totally believe that as being shot in real life. Like that was actually filmed in real life. Like it looks amazing. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's blown my mind. In fact, I mean, we did use a little bit of that in that Photoshop World movie.
Yeah,
so,
right.
you know, I love playing around with this stuff.
Oh my gosh, you're getting me spinning, but we have to take a break.
We got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be answering more of your questions, so keep on feeding them to us.
I'm Richard Burnaby, and I've spent the last 20 years chasing light and life across the wildest corners of the planet. And what I've learned is this: wildlife photography isn't about gear. It's not even about the animals. It's about connection. It's about presence. It's about telling a story that goes beyond the frame. In my new KelbyOne class, I'll show you how to approach wildlife in the field, from anticipating behavior to creating powerful compositions that include the environment, not just the subject. We'll talk gear, light, ethics, and most of all, how to make images that matter. So if you've ever wanted to make wildlife images that feel alive, not just seen, but felt, then this class is for you. Exclusively on KelbyOne.com.
You know, you are about to experience the best thing any traveling photographer ever can, and that is insider tips, tricks, all the information that you need if you're thinking about going to Boston. The guy's name is John Dukes. He's been there a bunch of times, and you're about to see visual proof of an amazing trip to Boston.
Thank you, Larry. Yeah, I want to invite you on a journey through Beantown, Boston, Massachusetts. We're going to have so much fun with this class, and you will too. You will come prepared, ready to bring your camera, ready to come back with shots, not Instagram shots, but shots that you'll be proud of, shots that you'll be able to show people when you get back and go, look, I captured this when I was there. We're going to talk about gear. We're going to talk about composition. We're going to talk about how to remove people from your shots that you don't want in there.
You will see fantastic places, and one of my favorite things about John's classes is all the hidden places. Those places that you don't know about. You're going to learn that and so much more, and it's only at KelbyOne.com.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the world's most compact tripod base.
We're not there yet. All right.
Only if you could hear us in between the
Yeah, only breaks. If you could hear us. We're not there yet, but it's coming. All right. Hey, Belinda's got a question for you, Christina.
Hi, Belinda.
Belinda's saying, what do you shoot, and do you do workshops?
So I do not shoot typically. So I am a filmmaker. I trained, I can shoot video or cinema, photography. I can record audio.
That's the thing, is
I
if
can
we're going to
edit.
really be honest here, Christina, video is harder than photography.
Yeah, it's like moving images. So my specialty is moving images,
yes,
right?
There we go.
And
I like that. I like that.
And I'm also like a artsy kind of person, and so when I do shoot, it's mostly like of my family and my friends and things like that I care about, just things that make me happy. But right now my focus has been on the production side of things. So in order to be a good producer, I've had to learn all those things, know about all the equipment, and then that way, if I want all those elements to come together with a group of people, I kind of know everybody's role and the equipment that is needed, right? Yep. So that's really my forte, and it's almost like I'm the orchestrator, you know? Yeah. So I make everybody come together and this beautiful thing happen. It's so fun when you're in pre-production, you're like getting everything together, and then the day of the event happens. And now, if you've done a good job, you sit back and you watch it all play out. Yep. And then you're there to put out fires if they come up. But really, it's almost like, you're seeing all the elements come together, and it's just like, ah.
Yeah, and it sings.
And I do not do workshops.
However, we were talking, I think it would be really cool if Christina did like something on production, because she's awesome at like what she just talked about, putting a production together. And that's a skill that a lot of photographers, we don't have that skill. We want to we have a vision, we want to do something, but we don't know how to put the puzzle pieces together.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it'd be really cool if we had something about how to put all those puzzle pieces together.
Yeah.
But who knows? We'll drop that hint. All right.
All right. Well, Polly is asking, how do I determine my style? I love to shoot the Milky Way, birds, landscapes, not people.
Yeah.
But I think what she wanted to know is just like,
how to determine
what's
your
my
style?
How do I get a style?
This is a big thing. This is why big reason why we have in KelbyOne. Once people become KelbyOne member, one of the paths for people to go down is becoming a VIP member, and the VIP program is all about creating that style and getting your style down, because that is very important. That is one of those things that it's hard, and it's almost one of those things where you have to take it upon yourself to kind of zone in. Like you were talking about, I love to shoot this, I love to shoot this, I love to shoot this. Find some commonality between those things that you love to shoot, and what is that commonality? And then find a commonality in your editing, where you want, for example, if you want your bird photography to look like your Milky Way photography, to look like your landscape photography, you want everything to have a certain look and feel and style to what you're doing. So definitely, that's one of the, I guess that would be my thing there, is to get your own style. You really got to narrow down what is it that you like about your style, and then do more of that. Like start leaning into something instead of doing everything.
Right. Well, I think too, sometimes I've heard, maybe you guys talk about, just like going and finding what you like to begin with. Like, if you were like to go to Pinterest or something and just find the styles that you like, and then try and simulate that and figure out how to reconstruct it. And then, you'll know for yourself if that's what you're wanting.
Correct.
But I think that's a good starting point.
Yeah, that's a great starting point. Just the more you can, actually I was talking to a member about this the other day, is in their portfolio review. I was saying one of the challenges for them was they really wanted to figure out, tone in more in the style. And that's why I said, well, collect over the next 30 days, 10 images these are the images from other people that, like, this is what I'd like my style to kind of revolve around.
Right.
And then we'll break down those photos. Like we were talking about with Sam's class, we'll break down those photos and see what are those things that you're seeing in their work that you're not seeing in your own work, and how do we bring that style into your photography.
Yeah. So. And I think styles can change too sometimes,
They do. They do.
As you grow, and Hilmar is a really good, I think, person. Yeah, because I'm just like all her self-portraits. I've just seen her evolve so much, and then she got into doing a whole bunch of stuff with like gels and color lighting, and color is always super important. But it's been fun to just watch an evolution.
Well, and that's where you see, like, I think her style would be summed up as that. It's very colorful, very whimsical, creative, and storytelling too. That there's a reason the props are there, so that encompasses her style.
Yeah.
Where you look at a shot, which the goal is that somebody looks at the shot and goes, that's
shot it.
Omar's photo.
Yeah, like that's an Erik Kuna photo.
Yeah, like that's your photo.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So good luck. Let us know how that turns out, and there's probably classes too you could watch on KelbyOne. Craig, how do you make those photos/videos on your website with the rocket and the fire?
So that's just animating a still. It used to be a software. There was a Plotograph was a one for years. There's also Fixel was another one. A lot of those have gone kind of like, I don't know, I won't call them defunct, but they just haven't become as popular. But it's really just animating stills. I will say the one that's getting very good at this is actually AI. AI is very good if you want to. You just have to tell it what you want to do. Like, I want to move this. I want this to stay still. And it just kind of does it, That's what my dream is, actually, that where I could just talk to Lightroom and just tell it what I wanted to do, and it would just do it. Like, just visually just talk through the edit. That would be awesome. So maybe one day we'll get there.
Yeah.
But that's it. And there's a couple, but it's motion. After you also do it with After Effects. That's the hardest way to do it. Is After Effects, what we used to use back in the day before those tools came out.
Sometimes I like to shoot on my phone with like the live action, because then you can turn it into something that's moving.
Yeah.
That's like if you were doing something on your phone, you know.
Yeah, like the loop. And
But you can like, if you
yeah.
have the live action mode set up on your phone, then that will help you animate a photo too. And then you can pick whatever frame you want out of it. So if someone had their eyes closed, you can toggle it. Charles is asking to explain the focus process in astrophotography. I'm like, is that a whole show?
Oh boy, I was about to say, do we have enough time? I know we're over time right now. Please explain the focus process in astrophotography. I can explain it. Frustrating, that's a good way to explain it. There's not an awesome way to do it. I mean, there are, I will say, certain ones, like I think OM Systems has this, Fuji has this, where they're starting to get to the point where they're putting in astrophotography focusing modes, which is cool. It's looking at small pinpoints of light and then knowing it needs to focus on the small pinpoint of light. But really, at the end of the day, the focus process for astrophotography, for me, if it's a Canon, Sony, or Nikon, it's going to be almost the same thing. That is, we're going to go into live view. It's all in live view now, but if you had a DSLR, it'd be in live view. But you've got the electronic viewfinder on there, on your screen. You got your settings. First step is making sure your lens is focused out to infinity. Why is that important? Because if your lens isn't focused out to infinity, this is where people say, I can never see stars in my shot. Because if you're focused 4 feet away, those pinpoints of light, when you try to zoom in on them, are just going to be blurred out from the focus plane. It's just going to become blurred out. That white pinpoint of light is just going to become black. And the same thing if you're focused too far away, like past infinity a bunch, it'll just blur out as well. So again, just finding out that infinity, usually back in the day, there was a tick mark on your lens that would tell you, hey, that's infinity with the little infinity symbol. On Canon now, when you go into manual focus on an R system, it'll show you the focus slider in manual. You got to be in manual for this to work. And then on Nikon, same thing. However, some Nikon lenses have the readout on top, so you can see infinity. And then Sony has, when you dial it in manual focus, it'll have a slider at the bottom of the screen that'll go from close macro to infinity. And so when you hit that infinity, that's our first start.
Right.
So we've got an infinity. That does not mean the stars are in focus. That just means when I zoom in, I will probably strain to see stars. So the next thing is turning on, if you're having trouble, turning on manual focus peaking, some kind of like peaking mode where you can have like a red overlay that'll show you when things are sharp. Now I will say, sometimes you want to turn that off when you're done if you're still having trouble, because those manual focus peaking sometimes lie to you a little bit. It won't be exactly sharp, but just know if like your stars are sharp, but they're not exactly sharp, you might need to turn off that peaking later. So you got the manual focus peaking. Then we're going to magnify. We're going to magnify in. So we're going to hit the magnify. So like there's usually like a little magnifier icon that you hit on your camera. You hit that magnify, it'll zoom into like say 5x, right? And then you move up more towards the sky, because that's where the stars will be. Find some pinpoints of light in the stars, center those up, and then push in again, and it'll go 10x, or it'll go 15x on certain models, or it'll go 25x on certain models, and get in really close. Yep. Then when we're really in close, that's where we're going to take that focus ring, and we're going to ever so slightly move it closer and farther away until that point of starlight gets to the smallest point of light in the back of your LCD.
Wow.
So it'll be like if you go a couple millimeters this way, the star will blow up.
Yep.
And then as you bring it back, the star will go down to a point. And then if you go past that point, it'll start bloating up again.
Exactly.
And that's what it is. You just want to make sure that you have that smallest pinpoint of light.
Does it matter which star you're choosing?
No, I mean, they're all pretty much at a certain point perceivably infinity.
Perceivably in focus is the new term for today.
Perceivably in focus, perceivably infinity. I mean, nothing is infinity. I mean, that's a joke of like the infinity on your lens. It's not infinity.
Right.
Like nothing is infinity.
Right.
That's impossible. But it's focused far away, which usually what ends up happening is the stars are usually, not for every lens, little bit past infinity.
I was gonna say,
Where the
I
infinity
feel like
marker.
there was always like you set it to infinity and then go a little bit.
You could do that.
That's always like
you
the
could
old
do that
adage.
trick. You could do that trick of a little bit. It still won't be perfect because the other thing is zoom lenses suffer from it more to where it's not going to be exact. But then every lens is different too. The older the lens gets, it breathes more. It might not be exact. So again,
So
just
that's
go
why
into
you
infinity.
zoom in, then focus.
And that's where, I mean, we could keep on going. I mean, I could keep on. That's why I say this topic, there's 4 things that are going to frustrate you about night photography. One is lack of sleep, right?
I like my sleep.
The other is going to be using your camera at night.
Yeah.
Right? Because you think you know where all the buttons are.
Oh,
But then when you're at night, you don't know where all the buttons are. And then the worst thing you can do is turn on your headlamp all the time because then you're just ruining night vision. Even if it's red light, you're ruining night vision. But if you know where your buttons are on your camera, you're good. Right? So that's going to be a frustrating part. The other thing is going to be clouds, right? Clouds are going to be frustrating because you're going to have everything set up, but then the clouds are coming in. But the number one thing that will be the most frustrating thing with night photography, especially astrophotography, is focusing.
Wow.
Number one thing. Yeah. So now what I would say to that is if you're getting into night photography and you're getting astrophotography, don't wait to be out in, I don't know, Monument Valley or to be out in, I don't know, where else? I don't
like
know,
a major
Death Valley
epic place.
or Big Bend. Don't be in that epic place that you've traveled all the way and never done it before. You can focus on stars in New York City if the stars are clear. I mean, you're going to see 1 or 2 in the sky, but I could see that 1 or 2 and go practice on that 1 or 2 no matter where I live to get the technique down.
Practice first.
That's the thing that I see that and this goes back to that's what we don't
really good advice.
We don't want to do as photographers. We want to just play photography. We don't want to practice photography. Right. And that's where if you want to get great at night photography, there's many of nights when I was starting out with this that I was perfecting how to focus, how to lock in that focus, how to not bump that focus. And they weren't award-winning shots. They were the shots that allowed me to get the award-winning shots when I was in front of that award-winning scene where I had the perfect composition, the lighting worked out, the atmosphere was perfect. But I only got there because, again, I practiced. That's where a lot of times I found places. There's 2.5 hours that way. I can go to a really dark place. I shoot Milky Way. I can go 2 hours that way, or I can go 3 hours that way.
Wow.
And so I know that those places, mattering on conditions, were years ago how I kind of just cut my teeth on it and figuring out. But a lot of times before I would drive that far, I better know how to focus at night.
Yeah.
And if I want to drive that far, I mean, it's as simple as this. Like, if you really want to get to know your camera at night, go into a dark room.
I was thinking
in your house. And it sounds silly. It sounds totally silly. But at my workshops, this is the number one thing that helps. We always do this, especially with our beginner ones. Is we will, and the thing is, I'll tell people before the workshop to do this. I'd say 9 times out of 10 we don't do it. But it's amazing how when you could just feel. You're not looking at your camera and you're like, that's my playback button. That's my menu button. This is this is the focus ring versus the zoom ring. And there's different textures. That's the one thing I love about my Canon lenses is the control ring has a different texture than the focus ring has a different texture than the zoom ring.
Nice.
Why? Because that way at night,
I know
just by feeling it, like Braille, like the same thing as Braille, that you can just feel it, and that feeling is what tells you what ring I'm attached to. Or like I said, playback button. I know that certain cameras, like if the side of the viewfinder curves this way, the button's right next to there. So I've programmed in my mind where those buttons are, so I don't have to worry about it.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's really solid.
And that's where that's my 2 cents. There you go. Like if you really want to get less frustrated with night photography, it's just come to grips with those 4 things. Is like
start practicing in the dark.
Focus is gonna drive you nuts. Practice at home. Just find a clear night, and you don't need 1 million stars. You need like 3, right? Then work with your camera at night, in the dark. Like intentionally work with your camera in the dark so you know where the key buttons are. You need to know where that zoom button is. You need to know where the playback button is. You need to know where the menu button is. You need to know which is the focus ring. You need to know how to turn your camera into manual focus.
Playing with the tripod too?
Yeah, being able to play with the tripod,
Yeah.
move the tripod around, do all that good stuff. And then you've got to come to grips with weather's going to be your enemy, and you're just going to have to work through that and study that and figure that out. And then you're probably going to lose a little sleep if you're going to do this. Or you're going to have to, what I do, just change my sleeping patterns.
Yeah,
so if I know I'm going to do it, I just change my sleeping patterns slightly.
Huh. Well, let's give away some prizes.
Yeah. All right. So Crush the Composition book is going to Jenny H. Jenny H. And then we've got
Eric's night photography book.
Yeah, who's getting that?
Jacinto
G. Hernandez Sr. There we go.
I butchered that, sorry. And the Platypod handle is going to Gregory Leong. Mm-hmm. On One No Noise, Michael Perry. The V flat is going to Dan Brunell.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
And for those of you who won prizes, please make sure you email us at gridprize@KelbyOne.com to claim it by this Friday. I'll drop that email in the chat too for you guys. Awesome.
And if you guys want to email us just a funny joke there, you can do that too, I guess. So, cool. All right. Well, so just recapping what we talked about earlier, a couple things, make sure to check out. One is the Landscape Photography Conference that's coming up in December.
Yes.
Right? So we got that coming up. Make sure if you want to go sign up for getting that notification about the workshops, going over to Milky Way Workshops there, MilkyWayWorkshops.com. You can get on that notification list to get the dates for next year. And then also, make sure you're marking down KelbyOne coming up in a couple weeks. Want to definitely check that out and join us on the 13th. You'll start hearing about that again on the 6th. All right.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Thank you to the crew.
Yes,
Ron for doing comments for me today. Jason in the control room, and Juan back there
on the jib. Which is moving. There we go. All right. So we'll see you guys here next week. Not sure what we're doing quite yet. We'll have something really cool for you on next week. And then the week after, we'll have Google here, right?
November 5th is that one.
Yeah, so isn't that,
that
2
week?
weeks. That's 2 weeks. 2 weeks. All right, see ya.